I want to give people my birth chart because, well, people are already doing all kinds of occult things to get me. So at least if you're going to get me, use the right information. I was born in Fort William, Ontario, Canada. It's now known as Thunder Bay. May the 10th, 1965, 10:30 p.m. That's my birth date. With that information, you should be able to cast a nice chart and go and figure it all out. Would you believe that there are malicious people who will go digging to try and find out what your astrological signs are? Well, why? Because people have so much energy for doing malice. The same fucking people, you can't get them off the couch to go to a day job. The same fucking people. Anyways, I don't know what else to tell you. Contemplate. 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 That's a song by Whale, W-A-L-E. It has something to do with River Phoenix's death at the Viper Room in Los Angeles. What else does contemplate mean? It means it's a form of a meditation when you sit back and you review a situation, and then you also allow lots of time for other things in your life to relate to this situation. It would be like Tony Soprano when, he was having major depression, being a gang boss, and he went to the psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist was giving him a lot of hard truths, and Tony was like having a hard time, like, how can I be Tony Soprano and run the Soprano crime family when, the psychiatrist is saying these are the things that are making me sick. Mentally ill. Well, he was mentally ill as a psychopath, but mentally ill in other ways. Well, that's just the way it goes. Contemplation, meditation, you're looking for new light. You're not looking for more darkness and more problems to stick on to this existing situation. You're looking for the situation to, well, just imagine yourself 5 years from now looking back at this horrible situation. It's like, look back, go 5 years forward and look back and said, I can't even remember what that situation was. I kind of think there might have been a situation, but that's how much you worry about it 5 years from now. It's like, well, there was a situation. You know me, I don't have situations. So contemplate the path that you got to take from here to that 5 years in the future where you can look back and it was no problem at all what you're in right now. And then follow that path. Don't get sidetracked and go back to your old path of being malicious. That path leads to the lake of fire. From the Bible, it's where demonic people go and never get out. Online today, we found a chapter of Elizabeth Hayesh's book, Initiation, about ancient Egypt and becoming initiated into the Egyptian I don't know, because people think it's mystery school, and it's something to do with pyramids, yes. Elizabeth Hayeshe. You can get a free ebook, then go listen to it on YouTube. Go listen to it right now. Good story. Very good story. Very, very good. Other stories that we like to listen to, we always will keep Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. We actually do. We're due because we saw a license plate last week that was something to do with the Benbow Inn. Benbow Inn is the beginning of Treasure Island, and it's where the black spot comes about. The black spot is when the crew of a pirate ship decides that the current captain of the pirate ship is not doing a good enough job. So they give him the black spot. It's a page torn from a Bible. On one side, it's a black spot. And that is using the Bible to say, Captain, we've decided that you are not the captain anymore, so you can agree with us and say, all right, boys, well, it's been fine to serve you as captain. I'm ready to go and be, well, I don't know. It's up to the crew, I suppose. The crew might say, you're done with us. Or if you say, well, I don't know, you could just say up front. Sometimes in these cases, the crew never wants to see the former captain again. And if that's your decision, then all it takes is one person. For me, if one person says, you're blackballed, I don't want you even on the ship, then I'm gone. But if nobody blackball, blackball is also used in Freemasonry. Blackball is if you think that you want to join the Masons. If one person, they actually do have some gizmo, maybe full of little, I don't know what they're made of, but they know black. There's one black alley. They used to call them alleys, marbles. One black marble and the rest are something else. And, if someone drops in the black ball, then you have been blackballed and you cannot join. Then you're forever excluded from the Freemasons. So the black spot, I don't know. I mean, I'm no expert on Treasure Island and, the usual gang of pirates wannabes. I don't remember. But that's what I would do if I wanted to stay on board that ship. Maybe I didn't want to be a part of that ship no more and I was gone. But if I kind of thought maybe I'd like to stay or maybe I wouldn't or would let the crew decide or something, I might just say, before I was the captain, if I was working on this ship, I would be, then I'd either have to tell the truth or tell a lie. And if to tell the truth is I've never worked on board a tall ship before. So I don't know. You'd have to show me like the most basic things or the most advanced things because whatever it is that you're, got a position. Or you might say, I don't know, whatever it is, the cabin boy, the dirty little dipper, he lined his ass with shards of glass and circumcised the skipper. Or there's those other ones that are very off color. There was a fishery in eastern Canada, Nova Scotia, and Newfoundland. And they called it Highliner. Fish, it was very good fish. It was frozen fish. It was fish, and they put a batter on it. And they cooked it, and then they froze it, and it was in all the grocers' freezers, and they advertised it. It was Captain Highliner, and he was an old salty, I don't know, kind of a salt and pepper beard, maybe 56. And then there was the cabin boy, which was a boy of, I don't know, 10. Well, I don't know. I don't know. These are just, tall tales from the sea that, if you're the cabin boy, you were those old men. I don't know. It was called buggery. And there was an album called Rum, Sodomy, and the Lash by the Pogues. And this was the most beautiful music with the worst title page ever. Because I love that. I just love the Pogues. I loved them and I don't know. I gave that album to my Scottish granny for Christmas. Because the music was so wonderful. And then she couldn't bring herself to open the plastic. Because it said it was the Pogues' Rum, Sodomy, and the Lash. She couldn't open it. She told my mother she had a conniption fit. She didn't know what to do with it. But all she had to do is just, lose her Victorian prudery and listen to it because, I don't know, I'm pretty sure that the Christmas song is in there. The Pogues, Rum, Sodomy. And sodomy is known as butt banging. Well, it's just, you're not supposed to even talk about it modern day because even talking about it means, somehow that you know about Epstein's Island. So, that's what it is. So, and it seems that human history did have cabin boys of about 10 years old, and their job was to be what? I don't know. What was the cabin? Well, the cabin is where, the captain and the ship's officers operate there. There's like, they have the big table where they have their dinner at the back of the ship, and they have stained glass out the back. I don't know. It's very hoity-toity, and then the cabin boy is supposed to be for dessert or something. So, anyways, the human history when it comes to so I know I don't want to be the cabin boy unless I like them all. Well, I'm going to be the 57-year-old cabin boy. I could do that. Um, it depends. I don't want to be shanked by a cannonball or anything. No, I really don't. To tell you the truth, I don't think I want to be the cabin boy at all. I don't want to be the captain. And if I go on that tall ship, um, I've already said that I want to go way up to the crow's nest with the telescope. They call it a glass in those days. Me and Yoshi and Snoopy and Woodstock, and sometimes the Red Baron drops in. The crow's nest. That's right. That's crow's nest above me, the good ship Bob. And, then this other guy, I can't say his name in case he's listening. But I don't know if it comes down to the wire, he's a wire. And, well, he's got his own post. It's more like the one at Hector Dougal's old camp. Well, it's posts. It's like wooden pieces of trees stuck up, and then piled up with a lot of wood. And then the crows go to the very top, at the top of, the tree, and the tree is going to be at some point burned on the great bonfire at the Wabang Beach. But anyways, that is like Hawaii's version, and he mounts that on a sled, an old-fashioned sled. Well, I'm not sure. Jack London was a famous author and newspaperman, and he wrote about Yukon. Yukon, well, it's next to Alaska, next to the Northwest Territories, next to northern British Columbia, and next to northern Alberta. The Alaska Highway, I think it goes through the Yukon. There was a famous gold rush there. After the California gold rush, then they went to the Yukon. And they rushed there and they got the gold. And everyone knows, well, what did they do? Well, they had whores and whorehouses. Why? Well, ladies of the evening or whatever time of day. It was like you went there and downstairs, you got a haircut from the barber. First thing you did is you went into the bathhouse. And it was a big tub full of, they had to boil water over wood. It's a big to-do to get hot water, but you'd go in a hot water in the tub. Either they'd make one there of wood. I don't know. If they had a steamship, they could bring an iron one from San Francisco. They could get it there as long as it was water access, not too far from water. You could get iron all the way. You could ship it all in on ships and boats without too much heavy. Anyways, that's where, the minor 49er would go, and he'd be fully scrubbed with, lye soap, good old-fashioned soap, and, brushes and things. Well, the brushes, I don't know. When I was a boy, we used loofah sponges. You could get them at the Treasure House in Cuscus Mall. Cuscus Mall was it's long gone. It was torn down to build a casino. What a shame. But you could get a loofah sponge. Otherwise, you could use the old sponge. Don't use the other sponge. Because that's for Dave's car. What else then? Well, I don't know. Okay, so once they're all like scrubbed clean and then they get out of the tub and Well, I don't know. I don't know. They could jump in the snow and get all the, residual. I don't know. It's kind of cold to freeze dry you. Maybe they wouldn't. Then they'd go and they'd put on some nice, fresh, clean clothes. Nice and clean. They could be new or, something that you had that you just want to reuse because it was your favorite. I would think soft cotton, like flannel shirt, and cotton pants, not jeans, something more like cargo pants. And, nice warm socks. And, a sweater that's not too itchy. And then you'd go into the barber shop and you'd have to hang up your sweater. And then you'd get in a chair and the barber would get nice scissors and would give you a nice haircut. And then you'll go in, well, I don't know, you go back to your room and, change, I don't know, whatever you're going to do, gather up. Because then you're going to go to, mm, well, in the olden days, they'd go to the saloon. Well, yeah, you'd have a drink at the bar with the bartender, and then you'd mosey over and you'd sit down and then you'd bring your big bag of gold coin because you were going to bet. You were going to play cards for gold coin. Yeah, and then, well, at some point you'd already talked to the bartender about putting yourself on the list, and somebody will come downstairs from upstairs in the hotel section and say, Mr. Whatever, it's your turn. And then the piano player would wake up and he said, my turn. And he'd start playing the piano really quick. And then is it my turn? And they'd go, no, no. And then they'd point over at that guy. And that guy or that old timer, he would, get up there and he'd have to go climb the stairs. And then, I don't know, you'd look at it like an hour had gone later. And then you'd wonder, is it the piano player next to me? Anyways, that was the way they ran the, yeah, well, the hospitality industry, and I don't know, Tombstone, Arizona, for example, I suppose. And then, well, sure, somebody would cheat at cards, and somebody would be caught, and well, then there'd be fisticuffs and threats, and then the bartender, after they'd shot the nice glass behind the bartender, and or they'd say, "Take it outside, boys," and they go outside, and they'd have a gunfight, either right there in the street or at the OK Corral. And it would be a gang fight. There would be multiple, it would be the Wyatt Earp boys with Doc Holliday versus the Clanton gang. And then, well, I don't know, someone would get shot, maybe killed. Maybe they just winged them. Anyways, at some point, the Clantons would be the ones that would run away. Well, I don't know. That's usually the way it went. But that's, Wyatt Earp, Morgan Earp, Doc Holliday. So there was more Earps than that. Anyways, yeah, well, that was them. But, the Clanton gang versus your gang? Well, they're the contender to meet the heavyweight champions of the world. In other words, well, maybe they lost to Wyatt Earp's gang with Doc Holliday, but for sure, you're going to lose to the Clanton gang, your gang, because they're like, if they have a bad day, or like Doc Holliday, I don't know, chips his tooth on a vibrator or something, and he has to go see the dentist and he's not there, then it becomes very unbalanced, and the Clinton gang is going to kill every damn Earp there is. Because Doc Holliday is like a one-man army. Doc Holliday versus, you name the army, Genghis Khan's army, Alexander the Great's army, and throw in, I don't know, Xerxes too. Because Doc Holliday is... And the rest of them ain't. Okay, what else do we want to talk about it? Okay, so what we're learning today is that people that are buying Rogaine because they're losing their hair. Now, I never lost my hair at all. But, some people do when they're younger. Hair potions rather than buying the pharmaceutical one. I seem to be getting I don't know, it's like distortions in the, I don't know. in the quantum flux. So if it sounds like I'm getting distortions, I'm getting them too. This actually happened in one episode of Star Trek. Star Trek Voyager, they went through some space-time anomaly, and it was like they got ripples going right through bulkheads and people. I don't know, distortions of space-time where bodies didn't rupture, which was good, because if the bodies ruptured, then you'd be dead. So whatever these things are, it's just, sometimes we call it wow and flutter. In the olden days when we all used records and turntables, wow and flutter was, well, if that was the plate and you put the record on top of that plate, if the plate had some deformations, then that would be wow. And flutter would be, I think, when the wow went around, and then the needle would have to go up and down a little bit because the record go up a little bit up and down because it wasn't a perfect turntable. But, it was always insignificant. Because even the worst record player played the record and it sounded good. So anyways, records, if you still go to like used bookstores, you can sometimes get records for like $1 or $2. And is it worth buying it? If you've never had records, yeah. Because you get songs that you're never going to find any other way. Okay, moving along. So hair tonic. It's recommended that you make your own hair tonic. Magical. Try gin and tonic. Gin and tonic, hair tonic. Yep. Yeah, now the only thing that I'd be concerned about is the sugar. Because you don't want sugar in your hair. So, diet tonic water will not have any sticky. And I wouldn't, gin is dry, it's not sticky, and it has, it's made from juniper berries. And you could add some fresh cut lemon or fresh cut lime in the coconut and drink it all up. Put the lime in the coconut and drink it all up. Put the lime in the coconut and drink it all up. Put the lime in the coconut and drink it all up. That's a song. Go look it up. So, that lemon in your hair in sunshine will lighten your hair, yes. So for a hair tonic, yes. Now, what if you wanted in Chinese medicine, there's something that would be called tonic, and it was called tonifier with an F. So you can tonify, and then I can't remember, but there's another word that is the opposite of tonify. So it's like acid and base. You can Google that one, tonify. Chinese medicine. Does Chinese medicine work? Does color therapy work? Color therapy works, yes. Well, if you're feeling blue, put on a blue shirt and Miles Davis kind of blue. You could put that on. Music. And then you could go down the list of all the different musics that has either the artist is blue or the song is about blue. Or red, or whatever color it is that you want to look that day. But color therapy does work, yes. If you're feeling too blue, then maybe try a different color. Or go for a bath and put some blue food coloring in there and, have a blue bath. Why not? Get creative. It's cheap. You should have these things on hand. Himalayan salt. I was at the dollar store and $1 for Himalayan fine salt, and I spent like $12 on it in Vancouver. It's way cheaper at the dollar store. Oh, that's good for denying a patio to insects. You don't want ants crawling all over it. but it's made of a stonework. Then put Himalayan salt down, pink, right in the nooks and crannies, especially. Yes, or even lift the stones and put it underneath. Make it very salty. Yeah, and the bugs won't go in because the salt will, dry them out. They won't go in. So if you really want to deny, because they're susceptible to being dried out by salt, and it's a holy salt from the Himalayas, I think so. Would you redo it every once in a while? Well, do you? There's been times when I was only able to do it one time. One time, because I'm such a high consciousness person, I was guided by the Spirit to take a pee in a men's room, at a gas station on the Trans-Canada Highway, and I was told, don't flush it. And then I got back in the car, I had got gas, and I drove away. What was the story? Well, the water that had been inside my body was high vibration. So it was wanting to be there in that building because it does help. High vibrational people do have an aura around them. Yes. How does the Spirit know when to tell me things? Well, it does. It gives you an intuition, and then in those days I would do a muscle test to confirm. Well, I did, a number of times. Jerry Lynch also did the Trans-Canada Highway. Jerry Lynch did unbelievable things. Jerry Lynch is a light worker. A light worker, a grid keeper. Yes. He did a lot of cross-Canada drives across from New Brunswick to Vancouver, Burnaby. Many times. High vibrational person? Yes. High consciousness person? Not so much. I'm just kidding. No, he's ancient wisdoms. You've got a master of ancient wisdoms, ancient stories, and today's we found it on Infernal YouTube, Elizabeth Haish, and we listened to a good chunk of a chapter on initiation. Elizabeth Haish's past life recollections of her growing up around the pyramids in ancient times. No, we were talking about color therapy. What was the other kind of therapy we were wondering whether it worked or not? And we didn't say one way or another. Because we didn't know. Whatever that thing was before, we didn't know. Does the power of intention make a difference to, when you're trying to do like something, I mean, I don't know. Is tobacco always sacred when you smoke it? Or is it your intention for tobacco to be sacred at certain times and, trivial at other times? Or is it your intention that every time you use tobacco, it's sacred? Would it make a difference? Do you intend for your intentions to make a difference? In other words, you might just use the words, without really meaning that you really intended it. I think that makes a difference. How much force you put into the meaning of the word that, would be described upon it. Intent. Focused intent. focused intention. That's an Olympic athlete training to win the gold medal. That's intent. That's when somebody gets up at, 4:30 in the morning every day and then goes to the pool and swims for, an hour and a half, and then goes back to the pool after school and swims some more. For years and years and years. That's intent to win. People that do that don't intend on not having a chance to get to the Olympics. I don't know if they're still talking about banning Olympics because of political shenanigans. Well, I don't know. Okay, what other things do we want to talk about? 170 grams. If you look at 170 grams, right there. I hope it's focused. 170 grams on the Nescafe coffee. Well, if you look at it, it also says DOG, dog. Now, it's 1 and the 7 combined. It looks like a D, kind of a funny D, and then OG. I just was showed that by the Spirit this morning. Well, that's what I call it, the Spirit that is saying, hey, take a look at this, because that's what the Spirit does all the time. So when I talk about what the Spirit said, it's like, the Spirit showed that to me earlier, it's the Spirit. Superconsciousness and God. Is it Jesus? No. It goes by the name the Spirit. For me. Jesus would be a different spirit than the Spirit. For me. Okay, what other things would we want to talk about today? Everybody seems confused with matrix glitches. Matrix glitches is when you see impossible things and you don't want to tell anybody about it. Because you think that they're going to call you crazy and they're going to send you to the psych ward. Well, just so you know, if you're in Thunder Bay, Canada, Hector Dougal, owner of Dougal Media, has told many people that when he was off in that property, out, past Lake area, where he's got the creek, he tells a story that, he doesn't actually say that he saw a Sasquatch, but he's of the opinion that something as big as a Sasquatch threw a log in his general direction. So, being honest about, you saw something that was beyond like a late night plane. Me, at Hector Dougal's camp one summer when I was out there every Saturday night, stayed up all night with binoculars looking at things. And I did see UFOs and I saw Cessnas fly over Hector Dougal's cottage. More than one Cessna, more than one occasion. Well, at times of the night when you wouldn't expect people to be flying Cessnas right over Hector's cottage at the Wabang. But it happened. So were they cloaked ships pretending to be Cessnas? That has been considered. Could they really be Cessnas? Theoretically, they looked like Cessnas and they were flying. It's just that, the Thunder Bay Airport's quite a long ways away from there. And if it's, 3 in the morning, I don't understand why people would be flying right over Hector's camp at 3 in the morning. multiple times just because I was there, and then fly back to the Thunder Bay Airport and land, and, call it a midnight scare bob. I'm not paranoid. I don't think people, in those days were out to get me. Do I tie Scott Dougal from Google, who lives next door to Hector's camp, to this incident? No, I didn't. And even today, do I tie him to that incident? No. Those are some of the possibilities that I have, and I did see other strange things out there. In the fog, I saw United Faces in Fog. I saw the Mary Celeste. Well, that's the name that, Brent Beeson, the devil, calls it, and others. Well, it was just a great big ship like what you would see on Lake Superior, like at Thunder Bay Harbor, but it wasn't. Well, it wasn't really close to Hector's camp, but it was, out by Gull Island, just past Gull Island. I don't know. It was parked there overnight, and that really wasn't a parking area for big ships. But it was there, and it was very strange. Another time I saw a thunderstorm that was just an isolated thunderstorm, and it just stayed. I don't know. It looked like it was over the water of just past Lambert Island, I guess. It stayed there for hours, maybe 2.5 hours of a thunderstorm that didn't move, and it kept lightning and lightning and lightning. And there wasn't thunder and lightning everywhere else. It was just an isolated place. Do you remember Reverend Kane? Poltergeist 2? Yeah, well, he could do that. He would sing, "God is in his holy temple." And then, you'd have thunder and lightning crackling overhead, and it would start to rain. And then he showed up at Coach Joe Ostaszewski's front porch. Well, it was Craig T. Nelson in the movie. But, he's a dead ringer for Coach O. Coach O of Florida State. Florida State, the football guys? Yeah, Coach O, yeah. Well, he's a good friend of Hector's. And, he's been many times to Hector's camp. And anyways, well, Coach O has got all kinds of stories about all kinds of things. Paranormal? Well, I think so. Yeah, I'm sure he's heard the story about Hector and the Sasquatch. So if you live in Thunder Bay, telling stories about, at the Prosvita, well, yes. Anyways, I'm being under a demonic attack right now because there's words that were going to be meant for me, but they're being blocked by nasty people. Anyways, because there's somebody there who sang on a regular basis, who had a bunch of friends, and they bought Ghostbuster. I don't know if it was Ghostbuster material, but machinery, but it was ghost detection electronics. DJ Dave. If that's not right, I'm sorry, Dave, but I'm under horrible demonic attack right now. And, they keep saying Diamond Dave. It's not Diamond Dave. Anyways, we think it's DJ Dave. But I don't know. I should know this, but this is a horror of electronic assault. I guess I'm done. That was so much fun. Don't forget to listen to that song, Contemplate, by Whale, W-A-L-E. Why? Because that's what we're contemplating, that song right now, because it's about Johnny Depp's Viper Room. And, the vampires that come down from the valley. I don't know. River Phoenix at the Viper Room. It was all over Entertainment Tonight. The death of River Phoenix, the brother of Joaquin Phoenix, who plays Commodus in Gladiator. And don't forget that Well, there is going to be a big to do at the Colosseum in Rome, and Joaquin Phoenix is going to play Commodus. And there's going to be, I don't know, there's going to be karma dished out to people who do hoodoo and voodoo and voodooing and, making duppies out of zombies, out of, normal people through, various means.